Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Astro from Down to Earth Astronomy, and you're listening to Loose Screws Podcast.
Hey guys, it is June the 4th, 2020, the day before my 41st birthday. This is Loose Screws. My name is Ty Worsham, and the poop has officially hit the fan. We'll go into that in just a second. With me this evening is our, what do I want to call him tonight? Our dastardly sound engineer, JN Tracks. How you doing this evening, bud?
I love this. I have many emotions. I have many emotions tonight, but one of them is this. So there we go. We'll see how it goes.
Begins.
Sexy.
And I think I hear our roguish, we'll go with roguish community manager, Commander Chig. How you doing there, bud?
I am doing fantastic. It's National Cheese Day, if you hadn't heard.
Oh my God.
How could we have missed it?
Why did we not start Cheese Chat today? Why?
I know, right? I could have bought some crackers.
And of course, okay, what's a good one here? We'll go with resident pirate and schemer. Our squadron commander, NL Hate, is joining us. How's it going there, buddy?
All right, matey. It's going to be a good evening.
I kind of don't believe that you made those up on the spot. They're too thematic.
Yeah, you don't understand how my brain works. It gets into a theme, and it's going to be peg legs and parrots all night, baby.
Yeah. He's clearly been to an improv class before.
All right. So we have some kind of cool news. So to begin with, we have, I'm going to wager he is probably the youngest member of our little community, Chris Clark 11, which I believe he is 12 years old. He was cool enough to send us a interesting little story. And I'm going to be working with him to get it on the air, but I just want to mention it, and you'll probably be hearing it in either later in this episode or at the end of this episode, or possibly in next week's episode, depending on when I can get him pinned down to get that again. And then the second little bit of news that we have here, and this is actually a Distant Screws thing. So, Jolaman, or Holaman, I don't know how to say his name. I should know this. But we'll go with Jolaman because it's a J and I'm Texan. Jolaman messaged me today. So, he had submitted a system to the Galactic Mapping Project when we were out exploring in the name of Jello Wiggler's daughter, Evelyn. And today we found out that it was accepted into the Galactic Mapping Project as Evelyn's Distant Sanctuary. So, Trax, I just don't think you understand the weight of how your expedition has affected people and the importance of it.
I'm continuing to learn the weight. You know, it was. I mean, I don't know. I felt really special before having been part of it and be, you know, in some sense facilitating and stuff like that. But that everybody has, I don't know. I mean, it's not just me. I actually am starting to feel like I did not all that much, considering how much everybody else has come up around this thing, and it doesn't belong to me. I guess is how I feel about it. So it's really special.
Well, just something to keep in mind. This thing would not have happened without you. So,
I suppose. Well, I'm proud and honored and thanks everyone continuing to make it, every day. There's still more stuff coming in. So the channels relating to that were closed, and they sit there like as an archive now, but we'll be able to add this to that so everyone can see and stuff like that. But they're not open to new posts, so don't freak out and message me that there's something wrong. I did that on purpose, but this will be added to the end of that archive.
Yep. Yeah, this to me is kind of like the icing on the cake to the whole trip, if you ask me. It was such, I don't want to go into a whole thing about distant screws because we've talked about it a lot, but it was super cool, and I really enjoyed it. And man, I can't wait till we do something else cool like that. So we've had a few people ask me, what are we doing next? What are we doing next? We have a few plans. We are going to be getting together probably next week to try to pin down what our next community event's going to be, or what they all might be. Excuse me, I just burped. I'm drinking Mountain Dew. Anyway, so we're trying to get it exactly pinned down what we're going to do, and got a bunch of ideas, but probably won't be as big as Distant Screws, but we're going to be doing some smaller stuff. So.
In the meantime, our player faction could definitely use some manpower.
Well, yep. So I'm going to let Trax talk about the Dark Wheel update. So for those that don't know, Kaizen over at Elite Week has started up a project to try to grow and improve the Dark Wheel faction in the LFT 926 system. And, this kind of goes back to what we talked about last week, but Trax has got the numbers on that. So hit us, bud.
Sure. So just kind of reading over the stuff has been moving in there. They started out by trying to push the faction in Shinrarta Dezhra, which has proved kind of difficult, and things, any progress they made kind of got pulled down pretty quickly. So changing tactics as of yesterday, everybody who wants to help out should move to the LFT 926 system, and they're going to start trying to build up, or I should say make room over there, trying to kind of work on it from the other side, work on the same goal from the other side. So running missions in LFT 926 for the Dark Wheel, and if you fail missions from the green party of LFT 926, that's the thing that they're trying to knock down to make room. If you want to do trading, then the idea is do not sell for a profit in LFT 926. Sell at a loss if you want, or smuggle things into the black market there. Bounty hunting, hand in only the Dark Wheel bounty vouchers at LFT 926 because they're not controlling or anything like that. So it's sort of complicated to bounty hunt, but you can patrol the Dark Wheel's ground bases in Shinrarta and kill wanted ships. That'll be tough because you'll be in no fire zones, but whatever. Yeah. They also said that you could try kiting incoming enemies into the zone of the Dark Wheel faction. That would be very difficult as well, I think. But anyway, that's what to do there. Exploration data do not sell at LFT 926. You can sell in Shinrarta Dezhra at Neumann Camp or Pulston Arsenal, the two planetary bases, I guess, that are controlled by them. So, and I think in just one day, they've seen a 8.3% increase in just one day. So that's pretty good, making a lot more progress there than before when they were working directly in Shinrarta. So that's what's going on over there.
Yeah, I thought it was a little weird they started in Shinrarta because I've read about some faction player groups have gotten together to try to move it in Shinrarta, and it's never moved. So, or very little.
Well, the the problem with Shinrarta is there's so much traffic that every faction in there gets maxed out into diminishing returns every day. So every
Right.
faction is maxed out. So it's damn near impossible to get anything to move there. So instead of continuing to hit our heads, there's a lot of us helping with this initiative, hitting their heads against the wall. Pivot, do some Ross from Friends pivot, and they're moving over to LFT. and anybody that doesn't know, the standing orders are all available on Elite Week's Discord. There's down at the bottom. There's a channel just for those orders, and you can see what they're doing. And if you want to help with this initiative, I mean, I think everybody should, if you're playing this game and you're at all interested in figuring out that, how this experiment will play out, and it's a long shot, we'll find Raxla in this, but if it gives us any information pointing us in that direction, great. And second thing is letting FDev know that we're all interested in this, showing the passion for what's going on. Mm-hmm. It gets their attention. So I encourage everybody to go help out. Obviously, still do what you find most fun in the game, but if you've got some spare time, go run a few missions, go, turn in some bounties, do whatever the standing orders are, and have fun with it. And you can probably play with some players you haven't played with before.
So with that, that's going to take us over to the Loose Screws Network over in Ross 310 faction news. Hate?
We are prepared to expand. Our actual expansion is no longer pending, but is full-blown in process. And we have a targeted faction in retreat, and their retreat should end 2 days before our expansion ends, so we know exactly where we're going. Right now, presuming the plan goes as planned.
Wow.
In addition to that, we're already prepping up a third system. We're prepping a third system so we can push another faction into retreat, and it should be ready to be actually retreated the next time that Ross is going to be available for expansion.
Did anybody else hear like a death metal song in there going expand? Da, 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 da.
Nope, it was just you.
Yeah. All right.
It's not expand, it's beachhead.
Oh, beachhead.
Well, it sounds like you're doing galactic domination as your new goal, and I thought we were just friendly people. I don't know what's going on anymore.
There are lots and lots and lots of systems with factions in them that don't have any player factions, and I would like a foot there.
You can be much more friendly if you are in many more places
Truth.
in which to be friendly in. So
What have
Or
I
we
done?
just
I've
kill
made a
them all.
monster.
Play some death metal.
And by the way, I kind of see Hate sitting around on his Xbox playing death metal, wearing like a full blown Emperor's outfit. Like, I will rule them all.
Do you want to link to my Spotify playlist?
Actually, yeah, I wouldn't mind that. Oh man. So one quick thing here is that I was going to do what's it called? I was going to do story time this week, but something else happened, and we'll come back to that because it will kind of tie into a little bit of story time. But with that, we're going to do Chick Chat real quick. We're coming to the good stuff, y'all.
all right, Chig Chat then. That means I need to tab to a different window. Hold on.
It's Chick Chat. Yeah, that's a fact. It's Chick Chat. Where the cheese at?
We here at Loose Screws never end a sentence with a preposition.
However, I do vamp for myself while I'm tabbing around.
I can't. I laugh every freaking time I hear that craziness. And when you open up with talking about tabbing out and stuff right beforehand, it's amazing. Well, last week's Chick Chat, I asked you guys to tell me where your names came from and your pilot's names, commanders' names, whatever the hell. My brain's mush today. But great stories from everybody. If anybody wants to see, where people's names came from and their great tales, it's on Chig Chat right on our Discord. Go over and read it. You can learn. I mean, it's a lot of our very, very active users came in and shared what they have. I was going to take some time and break some of them down on this, but as we've mentioned, there is some big news, this week that we want to get into, and I didn't want to spend forever doing that. And honestly, I got so busy with work and stuff this week, I didn't get a chance to get my notes together as cleanly as I could. I try to be professional like Ty is. I can't even say that with a straight face. I try to stay as prepared as Ty is. But what I want to talk about this week, I want to get a feel, especially with some of the news that we're going to get into here in a little bit, is how all of you play the game. Like, and I mean, VR, HOTAS, game controller, I know whether a lot of you are playing on PC or on console, but I don't know, well, if you're on console, I know it's not VR, but I don't know if you're using a HOTAS or game controller. And on PC, I know a lot of guys have been on, a gamepad. Like Teflon, he played with a gamepad forever, and he finally moved on to a HOTAS recently. And with some of the news about the new update, I want to know how many of our players that's going to be affecting. So please come over. Let me know what you use. I mean, I use, an X56 throttle and stick. I play in VR, I'd say maybe a third of the time. Otherwise, I'm playing on a big curved monitor, 1440, 144 hertz, blah, blah, blah. And I know Trax, go ahead. What do you play on?
I have an X56 as well. I started when I first downloaded the game, a year and a half or 2 years ago now, I don't even remember. I had an old joystick from I can't even remember what I mean, it had been on the shelf for at least 10 years. And I used that along with a keyboard. So I had sort of a keyboard and stick. And then I went and got myself a proper HOTAS, which was a Thrustmaster at first. And then I switched to this right near the start of when Distance Screws was happening. I got this X56. So yeah, always on HOTAS. Not sure how that's going to be affected by the future, but then again, maybe I won't have to worry about it because my choice is to play pretty exclusively in VR. In fact, I only take the headset off when I'm recording this show because it's just too cumbersome to be looking at the windows and stuff that we do. And I do usually at least sit with the game on when we're recording. So that's my story.
Now, my question, when you're in the VR headset, are you using the mic native to the Rift S, or do you have a separate sound setup? Okay.
No, I have my good mic now. That's the other reason is because when I'm using my good mic, I will whack it sometimes if I can't see it.
Wait a minute. This is a family-friendly show. Watch what you're saying.
But I have, if the microphones I have are my actual studio mics, right? So I have a Electro Voice RE20 pointed at my face right now, which is the thing that you'd see in a classic radio station.
Got it.
It's that one. And I would, do like this and knock it with my hands if I couldn't see it. So I don't, when I have the VR on, the Rift S mic will have to do, and it does a fine job. It just doesn't sound as pretty as this.
So you're VR 95% of the time then?
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, I haven't been able to play very much, so now it's more like 50% of the time because half my game time is when we're doing this podcast. But yeah, absolutely. I do not want to play this game on a flat monitor. I find it honestly disorienting to play on a flat monitor, and if I try to do combat, I have no idea what I'm doing. If I can't see the depth and turn my head around and stuff, I can't at all.
Gotcha.
Hopeless.
What about you, Ty?
Well, I play on a X56 HOTAS, and I probably spend about 70 or so % of my time in VR. I specifically got VR for this game, and I a large portion why I've upgraded my video card and other stuff is so I can see VR better in this game. And but yeah, the HOTAS it was a big deal. I was on an X52 for the first 4 years effectively of the game. And only the last 18 months or so, I've gone through 3 X56, or I guess the last 2 years, I've gone through 3 X56s. That's not necessarily a slam on the X56. The first generation of the X56 was shit. And the second generation had a few problems. But this new generation that apparently come out about a year and a half ago is great. It works great. I have no complaints. So
Nice.
Yeah, my this is my 3rd unit. Speaking of the unreliability of them, and I just got them recently, but the 3rd time was the one that didn't have a problem. But they have a return policy, and they will take care of you. It's I don't know. It's a tough world out there for HOTAS. There's not a lot of great options under $500.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's truth to that. And hey, you're console, right?
I am console. I use the gamepad. I use the gamepad, an Xbox controller. I do have access to a dumbed down T600, 1600, pardon me. My roommate bought it so he could play Elite Dangerous, and then he stopped playing Elite Dangerous, so he said I could use it. But I had a really bad experience in game with it, and I'm waiting until I have a lot more free time to actually sit down with it, or I have a desk that I can actually put it on. Because right now I just play on the edge of my bed.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so it looks like among us, 3 of the 4 of us play in VR a fair amount, some more than others. 3 of us have an X56. Maybe that should be a podcast. But those of you listening, come over to Chick Chat. I want to know what you have, and I want to kind of get a demographic of what we're looking at when we move into the well, is it an expansion, next season? What are they calling it these days? I don't even know. But the next paid update, there is some news on what they're doing with VR and stuff. And that's it for Chick Chat this week.
I do have one thing I want to mention here. So about 4 years ago, I began a journey. And the journey was I wanted to get my RGB up in my case and in my setup to the exact way I wanted. And today, I got my birthday presents, and I got the Razer Goliathus Extended Chroma, and I got a new mouse, and I can say I have finally completed my RGB journey.
Is that first thing a keyboard?
Oh, shit. No, the first thing is the Goliathus Extended is a great big mouse mat. It's like a full-size keyboard mouse mat. And the edge of it is RGB out, and it's reactive, and it's just gorgeous.
Yeah, I've got one.
I kind of want to sleep with it.
Ooh, all right.
Wow.
And for those that don't know, you can't RGB your Xbox. So that's why you should come and play on PC where the cool people are. So
PC Master Race.
You notice Hate's not saying nothing. He's like, yeah, you don't have RGB.
Hey, I got a power cord for my PC, and once I get the drivers and my downloads up to date, my super RGB keyboard and mouse are RGB. Everything else inside of a closed white 90s-esque desktop tower.
Yeah. I've actually wanted to start for a while, like where people submit pictures of their cockpits, but I'm afraid that it would go poorly really quick. So we'll have
for a while, actually, there was a bunch of that stuff being shared for the sake of people sharing their HOTAS mounts. Because
and honestly, for Chick Chat, if you just want to have a picture of your setup, that would be perfectly fine too. I would love to see the pictures of your setup. I'll post a picture of mine in Chick Chat, and that might be better than having to explain it and in great detail. And I like pictures better than reading because I'm slow.
All right, so that brings us to the news. So everybody knows by now what the hell is going on. So let me just say this. Early in Loose Screws history, Dravenos for those that remember Dravenos and myself. And speaking of which, I hope he's doing all right. I talked to him the other day. He's been doing all right. So, but I hope he's still doing all right. I need to catch up with him because he's been working on a few projects he was wanting to come back on the show and talk about. But I know he's still working on some things. So anyway, Dravenos and myself had a great big discussion about atmospheric landings versus space legs. And that was episode 9. And this is episode 40. So 30 episodes ago. It was basically, he was very much pro space legs and not so much atmospheric. And I was very much pro atmospheric landings and not so much space legs. Well, the verdict is in, or at least it kind of seems to be. So yesterday, Frontier officially announced Elite Dangerous Odyssey, and it's official, space legs, without a doubt. We're gonna get to walk around. We're gonna get to. It looks like we're gonna get to do combat. We're gonna have stealth. There's going to be social areas that they talked about. There's about a 1.5 minute of video that they released where you see people walking around. So let's just get into it real quick. Let's talk about all the cool stuff before we get to the couple of negativity things here. Number one, that is a cool ass rifle the dude's carrying, and I wants it.
Couple
Looks
of
like
them.
a rail gun.
Yeah, it's definitely a rail gun, and I wants it. Is this Atmospheric Worlds 2? Because that's what it looks like. It's got to be Atmospheric Worlds,
yeah,
right?
There's
you don't
definitely
get
some
blue sky.
atmosphere. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're wearing their helmets. It doesn't have to be an atmosphere you can breathe, but you don't get a blue sky without an atmosphere, or you don't get any color sky, any visible sky. So that's the thing. I think the main push of this announcement has been, it's here, the elite feat. You're going to be walking around in person. That's all that is talked about. But everything that is pictured is within an atmosphere. And if you're going to get there, that means you have to be able to land on it.
Right. So I think that this is pretty much confirms that we both were right, and that atmospheric, maybe not breathable atmospheric, but atmospheric worlds. And that doesn't mean that they won't release it later. They're like, if you look at how Frontier has done Elite in the past, they've always done like, well, hey, here's the big update, and here's 3 or 4 big updates that follow it that kind of complement it. Look at what they did with Horizons and the Beyond update and whatnot. So it would reason that, hey, here's Odyssey, here's the big update with Odyssey, and here's the volcanic world update, and here's the water world update, and here's the Earth-like world update, or however they're going to do it, So let's get into it.
Let's do it.
So do we have any thoughts on the meaning of the words Odyssey and why they're calling it that?
Well, in like a classic literary sense, it would be like a long journey, and a long journey as told as a story.
Right.
So, and that's where a lot of the language of this announcement seems centered around, beginning your journey. It's sort of like you've been flying your spaceship for a while, and now we're gonna like start this whole new thing. That's the kind of imagery that it evokes for me, at least.
So in the video, the text, take your first steps on an epic journey. So what's the journey? Where are we going?
To that friggin' anaconda. I mean, that much is clear. They just showed it.
Well, yeah.
Show do not tell. They followed the rules.
I think it's just a play on the fact that you actually are going to be stepping out of your ship for the first time. That's the Odyssey. That's the journey you're doing. Is you're moving beyond your pilot chair. And you're actually going to explore planets. It looks like right now all that we have is this initial hint, and it looks like Mars type planet. With a light atmosphere. We didn't see any flora or fauna. It was a rock with some air on it. So maybe there's more. We won't know until, I have a feeling we're going to be seeing some more drops here over the next just few weeks. I don't think it's going to be, a month before we see more news. I think over the next few weeks we'll get some more information on that. But I think Odyssey and, first steps, elite feet, space legs, whatever the hell you want to call it, it's our first steps, and that's where that comes from.
I haven't left my captain's chair in 36 years.
How did the guy from the end of the Chig Chat soundbite get into our Discord?
Just for the record, you're ripping that out, Tracks.
I see.
Man, okay, so tinfoil hat time from Ty. I think that the journey, the Odyssey here. Okay, Horizons didn't really have the Horizon update was like saying you can see the horizon of the planets that we're landing on,
Right.
and the Beyond update was that where that they first introduced or that the Guardian, like the Guardian weapons and fighters came out?
I think so.
Yeah. So Beyond was like, hey, here's the stuff that's going to take you beyond to where you can kill the Thargoids. Here's how you fight back. I think that Odyssey, them calling it that, and the way they phrase this are key words or key phrases that they're leading us somewhere.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
I think they're leading us to the story, to more storyline. I think they're going to push it along somewhere. I think that we're going to see more Guardian stuff. I think that we're going to see more Thargoid stuff. And I think that we very well could be looking at the next turn of the wheel, so to speak, when it comes to what the Thargoids are going to be doing. Because we go back to the leak and the big famous picture of the Thargoid that leaked out. That was a 3D render of but looks like, or what people are thinking might be a Thargoid, which they look like they're about 8 to 10 feet tall, 4 legs, 2 arms, kind of insectoid looking. And, there's all kinds of talk of Starship Trooper kind of stuff floating around. So that's kind of where I see this is going. Now, that being said, I'm going to rename my vet, Nothing But the Rain, to Nothing But the Smash. And if I can smash Thargoids with it, that's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to fly around and smash Thargoids. Just thrust her down, smash. Every time I do it, I'm just going to yell out, Hulk, smash, smash.
Get that green paint job and just start smashing into shit.
Get it?
I like it.
Man.
Get it? I got it. I got all the paint jobs.
my bad.
Yeah. So, well, for the vet, I have all the paint jobs. That's far more money than what I should. I used 2, and I have all of them, which is dumb. I know.
And how many Corvettes do you own?
I have 1.
With 2 paint jobs?
With a Corvette, you only need 1. It's the best ship in the game, so you only need 1.
That paint never gets scratched, I guess.
It does, but you only need one. But
I picture you with your Corvette on the weekends. You got it in the garage, up on blocks, changing out the transmission and putting new tires on it. Just constantly tinkering with that thing.
A lot of wax.
A little bit.
See, what you should have asked me.
A lot of wax.
What you should ask me was how many modules for the vet do I have? because I got a lot of engineered modules that I've played around with. So
Correct answer is all of them times 5.
yeah. I have three power plants that I've played with. That's all I'm saying. So
Wow.
Sounds about right. All right.
Yeah.
Corvette talk.
yeah. So it kind of looks like there's a new graphics engine. When you guys think, or at least a very upgraded one.
It is most likely just going to be a much like largely updated version of the Cobra 3, just like every other game runs under the FDev flag.
Yeah, like code base refresh.
Yeah.
And I mean, I noticed like the Steam page doesn't have any specific system requirements or anything, so we don't really know yet. I mean, if it's just a modification of the current engine, it probably won't be a big bump in specs for it. But it did look, pretty dang nice. So we could be looking at some people needing to upgrade their graphics cards when this comes out.
Yeah.
It's possible, but a lot of times with these kinds of refreshes, you can actually get a lot out of it without necessarily needing anything new. Sometimes it's more like you don't really need any more power, but you need access to some of like the newer shader methods and stuff like that. So
yeah, and you can always run on lower, but if they put in some new higher, res textures and stuff and skins, some systems might not be able to still run that. So
that's true.
Yeah, when I was looking at the video, like the shot that really kind of hooked me was when the Cobra's flying over and it's on approach to the planet, and you look at the textures of the rocks and the mountains and the craters and whatnot. Man, it looks really cool, really cool. I mean, you can tell there's a engine upgrade, and then when you get down on the planet and you see the Cobra in the background, you can kind of see like the fine grained sandy detail and like the rocks, which I guarantee the SRV is banged up against at some point. You can kind of tell that, like, I don't know, it looks new, it looks upgraded. And another thing that kind of stuck out to me as far as the engine goes is as they're walking toward the camera, you look at the texture details on the boots and on the armor. Like, there's some dirt spots on the boots that they're wearing. And I'm curious how much that will translate in the game. Now, this is a pre-alpha in-engine render. So theoretically, this is kind of how things are going to look, but it's a pre-render. So you got to take it with a little bit of grain of salt, because pre-renders are like, we're only going to render this section, this viewport, etc. It's not a full rendering of the game, and it's not doing any of the like the AI scripts or anything like that. It's just playing the movement of the characters and where they're supposed to go. So
yeah, it's not generating it in real time. It's a render that they had preset, and it's a commercial that they made.
Right. The other thing I did notice is that the animation on the walks. And if I hadn't have played Planet Zoo or seen videos from that, the walking animation where the male and female characters are moving from left to right across the screen, that is the same walking animation from Planet Zoo. Like, dead giveaway. The way that they move, the way their shoulders kind of move back and forth, you can tell that they took that mocap and we're just going to reapply it here. Which is fine. I get that motion cap is expensive, but it's pretty clear that's what they did here. But yeah, it was pretty cool.
Could be. I'm going to be honest with you. I just watched it on my phone. I didn't see any of the stuff that you're talking about. I knew it was pre-alpha footage, and I was like, well, whatever. This doesn't. It's sort of meaningless to me in a sense. Like, what it looks like is just to tease me, and I've got reasons for not wanting to tease myself, which I guess we'll cover a little later, but yeah.
Well, let's talk about that for just a minute. So this is pre-alpha footage. So how long ago do we think this video was made?
You mean the exact video we saw?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can give that to you to within 4 weeks. It was within the last 4 weeks or so, because that's when they announced the change that it wasn't going to happen in 2020 and it was going to be early 2021, which it actually says at the end of the video. I think most of the stuff that was in there is probably from a lot longer ago, but the very last scene of the video is just a, coming 2021. So I know I'm kind of joking with you, I guess, is what I'm saying. I think most of that, like what I guess we're expected to believe is gameplay, I think it looks more like a cutscene to me. Nothing looks like it's being played in that scene, but that's all. I mean, that could have been from a year ago. I kind of felt like they'd been working on this for so long. Maybe I was optimistic or something, and that's not true, but it seems like it's been quite a while ago. And then they just recently like tagged the thing onto the end when it was time to release.
So
that would be my guess too.
Let me ask this question then. Are we thinking this? So another thing that me and Dravenos talked about, what if they do third person versus first person? There's a lot of over the shoulder kind of shots in this.
Yeah.
On the forum post about it, it says first person right there in the wording.
Oh, it does say first person. Okay.
Yeah, it does. And we haven't, that's kind of why, like, the thing we've seen is not gameplay.
Right.
And I know a lot of people have requested, been like, hey, it'd be awesome if it was third person, but I don't know, part of this game is the whole immersion thing, and third person just isn't as immersive as first person, in my opinion.
It's also no good for PvP situations, but maybe I'm a purist.
I don't like third person from a PvP or shooter perspective. I much prefer first person. So, yeah.
I mean, even exploring, if you're out exploring on foot, if you're third person and you're like picking something up, you're like looking at yourself picking it up rather than picking it up and looking at it. You know what I'm saying? I think third
weird.
person just wouldn't be cool.
Well, as much as I loved Mass Effect, the first three anyway, not Andromeda, that was dog shit. But as much as I loved Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, the thing that kind of took me out of that was the fact that it was third person. And I don't remember, it seems like there was a mod you could put in and make it first person, but I don't remember that there was a way to make it first person by default. But man, I'm not the biggest fan of third person shooters, and it would really bother me by having it.
And see, what's weird is I actually am a fan of third person shooters. I'm a big Gears of War player and stuff, and I still just, for this game, what this game is, I don't like the idea. I mean, if they had it as an option for people, I'm all about options. If they had it as an option, but then also add, third person from your ship, make it easier to fly, where you're behind your ship and you can see it too, make it across the board. But if this is third person and when you're near your ship, it's first person, just seems bizarre to me.
Yeah.
For most of the game, you do have the remote controlled camera, and like, the only time I could think of on foot for Elite Feet that would be game breaking or immersion breaking is during PvP. And because I don't have a lot of time in Arena, the CQC, Chig, do you have access to the remote camera in CQC?
No. You do
Well,
not.
if they do dedicate any area for PvP on foot, then chances are that'll be removed if, when on doing Elite Feet, you even have access to the third person camera.
Yeah. And here's the thing with that too. There's actually a lore reason why the third person in the ship works. There's like a not microscope, but there's a tiny little camera that you can operate that deploys and you operate and it flies around is what you do. And there's like cameras on the inside of the ship and stuff. So the last little thing that I thought was pretty cool that they showed was, I believe it was like the last 10 seconds of the video or whatever before the credits rolled, the jetpacks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm assuming they're going to work very similar to like the SRV kind of thing where you have to thrust and it's all vectoring and stuff like that. I think that'll be pretty cool. I can already tell you right now, Dubs will be the first person to puts himself into orbit.
I'd say Alec Turner. Alec Turner
Okay.
will probably be first. Dubs will be a close second.
Okay, that's a strong point. It very well could be Alec Turner. Yeah. In fact, this what we need to do is have a race to orbit, and we'll.
But I gotta
Jeez,
wonder
guys.
too. I mean, that suit, is that just for everybody? You know, there's still questions we don't have answered. You know, like a lot of people wanted space walks also to look at your ship from the outside while in a spacesuit. This suit with that jetpack, if you look at it from certain angles, there might be thrusters on top of it too. It might be a fully maneuverable fly-in space jetpack too. I'm just, throwing other ideas out there because there's so much that people wanted with Elite Feet, not just to walk around on a planet, but, spacewalks and moving around your ship. If you're in space, we're supposed to not have gravity. Would this jetpack be what can keep you anchored? Some down thrust of some kind. There's a lot of questions still to be answered.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
I feel like what we're being shown has nothing to do with being in space. I think it is not getting up out of the seat and moving from there. I sort of feel like it is a transition in the way that getting into the SRV is a transition. Which I mean, I think it's pretty much going to happen when you land somewhere. It seems sort of like from some of the concept art that there must be something inside of stations, being able to walk inside of those.
Well, let's
But-
talk about
Yeah.
let's talk about the concept art for a little bit because I think it was DJ Wiley that shared this with us, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 screenshot for 4 pieces of concept art here. That one of them, it looks like you're at a bar that may be in orbit. One looks like you're on a base planet, but it looks kind of militaristic, maybe. One looks like it's some sort of like base planet kind of hangar bay. And the last one, a space bar. I mean, do we have 2 space
I
bars
don't know.
here?
Looks like we're playing Cyberpunk 2077 to me in that last one.
Yeah, it looks a little cyberpunkish here and there, which I'm not against. I like cyberpunk. I mean, I'll be playing a shit ton of that, but I don't know.
Well, that's just it. Look at the first one. Are those view screens or television screens behind the bar there? It
I
looks
don't
like
know.
just big
If-
television screens, huh?
If you read the
Yeah.
banner above, that'd be like personal transport. So like an airport.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm getting that now that I see that okay. That makes a lot more sense. Yeah, it says over on the
Does
left
that mean that
side-
we'll be able to book a ticket and go from one station to another and buy a ship at a different station?
That's an interesting idea.
'Cause that does
Sorry.
look like a travel
If you
agent
have-
of some kind.
If you have your own spaceship, why is that the right way to get around?
Because immersion, man.
Imagine like I'm gonna book a ticket on one of the many number 1% cruise lines or whatever that are always flying around. And I'm not gonna
that's-
fly this ship or anything. I'm just gonna like look out hey, we'll finally get to look out the windows on the Beluga, right? If we can actually book a ticket on one instead of flying the thing.
But that
Well,
brings
hold
up
on
a
a
point
minute.
that they talked about these social hubs they're talking about. And it doesn't sound like it just means, you can get out and go into every station. Sounds like there's just going to be these limited hubs where, you'll be able to meet other players. So random
And
bars or something like
hire
that.
your player / NPC crew for conducting your on foot missions.
Exactly. Yes.
The orange side.
Well, all I want to know is do I get to bring Luigi Dushku into this bar at the bottom and me and him get hammered and start a bar fight?
Oh my god, I hope so.
Disappointing
So do I.
reveal. Turns out he was actually just a hologram the whole time. The telepresence, he never has a real presence anywhere. It's always telepresence.
And if you ever find his real person, it's a big fat old dude.
Yeah, and what You guys can find these in the, I believe, DJ put these in the screenshot section of our Discord.
Yes, he did. Yep.
Yeah.
That'll be easier to find. They were in general too, but they've scrolled by about 1 million years ago now. So
Yeah. So if you look at that second one, that's the more I look closely at the screens in that second one, I really think that's going to be like a military compound kind of thing. Because you see where it says Vega facility and there's like security doors and stuff right there.
Really reminds me of Avatar when they were looking at the hologram in front of them and everything else. It reminds me of the control room in Avatar.
That way they get their unobtainium, you know?
Yeah, go get their unobtainium and battle the big blue aliens. Yep.
Yeah, that way we can have 5 more movies, you know?
Yep. The last one is obviously or the third picture is obviously like an outpost of some kind that you're going to be walking around on.
Well, if you look at that archway there, that makes me think it's like an entrance to a hangar bay or something is what I was thinking. A
lot of those outposts are a lot of smaller buildings scattered about. That's why I'm thinking, just one of the outposts potentially. Who the hell knows?
Yeah,
and moving between them and stuff.
Yeah, so you're going to be able to walk around in them for some reason. What kind of gameplay do you think we're going to get from this?
Well, hold on. Let me ask you
I think
this.
they said that we're going to be sort of like finding and hiring our crew, or maybe that's where we pick up the on-foot missions, and we will need other people to go with us for that and this kind of thing. That was my read.
Am I the only one that's like severely bothered by the last picture? There's 2 things that really bother me in this picture, okay? One, the dude at the bar, his boots are ginormous. Look at those boots.
Well, Meg boots have to be big.
No. The second one that really bothers me about this picture, so it's 1,300 years in the future, and the best thing we can figure out how to move drinks around is still just a shitty ass little dolly.
Wow.
Am I the only one that's bothered by that? Like that little hand truck sitting right there? Come on. We don't have like a little hover thing or something?
Well, yeah. If that's what's bothering you, I can't wait till we move on to the next part of this.
Yeah, we'll come to that. But yeah, these little concept arts are kind of interesting. I kind of hope they get into the game on some level. And here's the thing, Trax. We are in the game. We have a lot of money. A lot of us are going to be buying fleet carriers next week.
Suckers.
You got to think about the new player. It's possible that they could have a new player who starts the game who doesn't have a ship. That he has to do things to earn a ship when he starts.
But they loan you a Sidewinder.
That could change, though. I mean, they very easily could change the lore behind that you got to do these ground missions. So you got to get from this station to this station kind of thing on the ground.
Okay, so you have the current situation. You start when Horizons is added, now you have a choice. You can start with either the Horizons loadout or the original loadout, right? And there's a different system. Basically, the Sidewinder has a SRV in it if you choose that one. So maybe, I guess a third start option. Maybe you start with like a little bit more on foot kit, but you got to go buy yourself a spaceship or something. Seems a little.
I don't know.
But
the Pilots Federation might have a whole bunch of logistical issues right now, considering they're kind of at war with the Dark Wheel.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. That's not a bad point.
Well, I think you'll always start with the Sidewinder.
Probably it is a splice sim.
Well, I mean, just from the simple fact that this is going to be another paid add-on that you don't have to play the earlier games, but you have to have the earlier games to play the add-ons.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're always going to start from the base.
Base game must still exist.
Yeah, that's a good point. So let's get around. Is there anything on the good side of things y'all want to chit chat about before we move on to the bad?
Well, I'm thrilled to see atmospheres. I looked at this video and, like I said, like I didn't look at the textures of the dirt on the boot because I don't give one lick about that. I saw blue sky and I was like, good, we're here. We're at least progress. Like I'm kind of not expecting that we're going to have, gas, at this point, like I really want the whole thing. I want the gas giants. I want the Earthlikes and the water worlds. I want to land and splash down on my like inflatable landing gear and then do a submarine. I want all that stuff. At least I know I'm not getting space legs instead of any atmosphere whatsoever. If I didn't get any atmosphere whatsoever, I was going to be sorely disappointed.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. And then, I saw somebody on the forum point out that there's a link here to wishlisted on Steam, so you can be up to date, get updates as things come out in the store, because Steam already has that page up. And somebody noticed that it doesn't have a VR compatible tag like the base game in Horizons does. And suddenly my joy for seeing Sky kind of crinkled a little. It got a little crunch, a little crack in it. And then, a day or so later, we kind of prodded a bit, and there's a big forum thread for people expressing support for VR and asking for an answer about that. Why is this? We asked them. And then this morning, they answered.
Yep.
It was not the answer I wanted.
I'll just tear it out. It absolutely broke my heart.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I have spent most of today feeling pretty somber and feeling sort of like, I know this isn't, I'm more intense than some people in this. Like, this is the only game I play. And for me, this game sells VR, not the other way around. And that's what happened to me. But it sold VR. And that's how I play games now. I really don't feel like I'm playing a game unless I'm in my headset. I'm not interested in games that don't play on my headset.
Yeah.
And so I don't feel reassured by saying like, well, you're still going to be able to play the game. Like, no, this is the update that I've been getting myself excited for months. And now I've got months more to wait for it. And the word is VR not ready at launch. And without really details about what that means, I feel like I'm being abandoned. And it's hard not to feel like that. I know I don't want to like become one of these salty people or whatever, but it is hard to, it's hard to wonder. I know that there's a lot to dealing with a company and a game developer and a community, and you can't just tell everyone everything. But to say that it's not going to be ready at launch for technical reasons, I understand that. I'm not mad at anybody, because I don't know how to program it. But it leaves me wondering, are these technical hurdles gonna get re-upped and re-upped and re-upped in the way that fleet carriers got kicked and kicked and kicked until they eventually come, or are they eventually going to announce something? I don't know. How long am I going to wait?
Well, my big hope, Trax, is, that this expansion isn't just feet, that there is, advancement of gameplay for when we're in our spaceships, because that's why I play this game too. I've never been overly excited or waiting for space legs. I want more stuff to do in my ship, flying my ship. Now if I can fly my ship and support ground troops with air support and stuff like that, I'm good. I'm not really eager for space, but if this, we can really hope, like Ty was mentioning earlier, an advancement of the Guardian storyline, the Thargoid storyline, all the other storylines, and there's more gameplay, with that, some new Guardian type sites start appearing that we can do stuff at, and there's gameplay for those that aren't excited for space legs. I think we're going to be fine and dandy because we'll still have some stuff that we can do in our VR headsets. But finding out that they weren't making this to be sure that it was fully compatible with VR was very disappointing.
Yeah, it's like delay, delay, delay. No announcement. Coming soon. I that now I feel like from their perspective, we can't delay it anymore. Yeah, I understand. I know that's what they're thinking. It would take this much more delay to make it VR compatible or something. This is a possibility of what's going on over there. But I can't help but be disappointed. And I hope you're right. I hope there is a lot more to it. And I think we've just been given just a small teaser of what's going on. And it's just hard. It's just hard to feel that the major feature, the thing that they tease the most, is also the thing that I personally like. I won't buy it. And I don't know what other things could go into the main game that could affect me to change my mind. Who knows? But like I said, I'm not interested in non-VR games, so maybe it's an expansion I don't get, and I don't want to feel that way. And there's a lot of months between now and then, so who knows what'll happen and what new things will come in future announcements. But basically, I'm stuck waiting for future announcements, I guess.
I'm the same as you. Like I was with fleet carriers, I still don't know. Like this, the Elite Feet, I did not put this on my wish list on Steam yet because I still am not sure if there's anything there that I need that I don't have in the game right now.
I'm gonna jump around a little, so try and follow me. All right.
Okay.
We're with you.
A part of the update on Tuesday, the 9th, when fleet carriers come out, is a bunch of bug fixes. Some of those were targeted at, along with the January update, multi-crew. And if you read through the initial forum posts that came out with the video yesterday, they mention that they are working on what looks like multi-crew, including SRV deployments, which currently is not in the game. But they also make it sound like you could have multi-crew, and I'm putting a stretch on this because it sounds like, if you read between the lines, they may have wing and multi-crew actually working together as a part of the scheduled development for when Odyssey comes out.
Oh, you think that's coming in a couple of days?
No, for Odyssey, I think wing and multi-crew together is going to be a part of that in the distant future.
And I'll say it goddamn better. We waited forever for those things to work together, and if we're waiting this long for this new expansion and they're not going to have VR compatibility and it's just space legs, better be finally working.
Just 10 days ago, we had seven or eight people from our faction helping another faction in a war. Wing and multi-crew would have been awesome for that.
Well, it would have been a blast. Would have been an absolute blast. I agree. I mean, when you're fighting Thargoids, it would be so much fun. But no, you're either wing or you're multi-crew. You got to be able to combine them.
And that's the sort of thing where, I 100% expect that. Like, I'm not worried at all that the wing and multi-crew thing isn't going to be fixed by whatever this code base refresh business is. But I think I'm optimistic, I guess. I don't see how they could not include that to the base game. I don't see how a code base refresh could happen and not have it backwards, wash over the old game. So I think even if you don't buy it, you're getting essentially like those little things suddenly working right.
Yeah, think about that for a minute. Also, they put out a paid update, and hey, you can wing and multi-crew at the same time, but if you buy the expansion, that would be shitty.
So there's a couple things here that we're kind of glossing over here just a little bit, okay? Let me go back. Let me touch on the VR thing. I started playing this game in pancake mode with the idea of I'm going to buy the VR when the Oculus comes out. I pre-ordered the Oculus for this game. And
Me too.
This is the original version of it, not the. I didn't order one of the test kits, but this is the original version of it. A buddy of mine ordered the test kit. I was waiting for release is what I was doing, and I was glad I did. I bought a Rift S because of this game. I don't really play other VR games. There's a few, but I don't really play other VR games. The number one way I enjoy this game, my most fondest memories of this game are in VR. And let's be, they're not taking it out of the game. It will still be there, but the new stuff in Odyssey will not be there. Now, what I'm curious about, are they going to make it if I can land on a planet in my ship and it's one of the, let's say it's an atmosphere planet, can I still do that in VR? Because if I can still do that in VR and then I have to switch to pancake mode to get out and walk around, I'm cool with that. That's perfectly fine. That's not going to bother me at all. But if I can drive my SRV, if I can fly in VR, I'm perfectly fine having to swap in between the two. That's fine. What's going to really rub me the wrong way, though, is if they're like, well, this is an atmosphere planet. If you want to land on this planet, Ty, you're going to have to swap over to 2D to be able to land on it. Well, guess what? I probably won't be buying your expansion until it gets cheap.
Yeah,
I'll wait for a Steam sale.
Well, for one thing, I'm a little less placated than compared to you. Like I would consider, like, if it was happening right now, I guess I would consider if the game worked fine, but I have to switch to my flat panel to use the on foot. I guess it depends how the transition is. Is the transition going to be like the SRV? Is my headset going to go take me off now, and then when I take it off, I find myself looking at a full screen monitor? Okay, I guess it. The graphics settings need to be adjusted so much, and that the game actually loads up in a different mode completely. It's hard to believe that the transition wouldn't need me exiting and re-entering the game in a different mode. But also, like, to that same point, that's where the Horizons demarcation is. You know, you cannot access the engineers, not because it's like a permit lock on that station, because they put them all on planets and you just can't land if you don't have Horizons. Right. So all the content from this, probably is going to be on these atmospheric worlds, and probably you can't get to it without this. So,
yep. It's going to have.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, I would wager a bet that they're going to do it just like right now. The planets you can land on for Horizons have the Horizon half circle on it. It's going to be the same thing, but it's going to be a little bit different color or something. And those will be planets that you have to have the expansion to land on. Or, certain starports, are going to have the certain logo that you can, that's where they'll have the bar, the social hubs, air quotes, that you go to will be on those that have that emblem. And that will be, like you said, the demarcation between whether you own that expansion or not. Which is unfortunate.
Yeah, and like I said, if they do it like that to where I can't take my ship and at least land on an atmospheric planet, and if I own it and I can land on an atmospheric planet in VR, and then when I get out walking around, I have to switch to pancake mode, I'm fine with. But if they make it to where that there's this, and I think you're right, I think there'll be some sort of demarcation there. We're like, well, if you want to have the advanced planetary landing system, you have to have Odyssey. Okay, I'll buy Odyssey. Yeah. Well, you can't use that in VR. You can't fire that up in VR. Right. So therefore, you can't have the advanced planning planetary module. So, sorry, you have to play in Pancake. Nope. Guess what? I'll just be in orbit then. I'm serious.
Yeah, I won't buy that.
Yeah.
Nope.
Now, here's the exception to that. If they're like, well, yes, it's not at launch. We have it planned for 6 months down the road. Here's our roadmap. Okay, I'll buy it. I'm with you.
That's how you keep me from finding a different game in the meantime.
Exactly.
I'm basically looking at the next 6 or 7 months. The news that comes out in the next 6 or 7 months is going to be deciding how closely I'm looking at other VR games.
Exactly.
And I'm going to be really sad about that. This is my second life in here, and I'm not addicted to my computer or anything. Like, I don't dedicate like an unreasonable amount of time each week. Frankly, I'd like to play more, but I have a real life too. But when I play, this is what I play. I don't have any urge to play any other game, but I don't know. That'll change, I guess, and I'll be really sad if I feel left behind.
I think the wording of the way that they said it too is telling, because they mention at launch, for launch. They mention in there that at launch it's not going to be ready. I think they're saying they want it done, and to me it says that it's really a time crunch thing. They've pushed this off so far that they need to get it out and then worry about working the bugs out of the VR aspect. I mean, even the first word, is currently it will not be VR compatible at launch. So even right now, they're saying our current plan is that it's not going to be ready at launch. But who knows? Enough salt. They've made magic happen before.
I mostly agree with you, except that there's another word in there, and it was to do with. They made this choice to not have VR ready at launch because they were balancing and didn't want to have the balancing is not what they said, compromises, to avoid compromises in the final product. And that does not necessarily, that doesn't guarantee to me that this is coming, it's just going to be later. This says we couldn't figure out how to do it, so we're putting it off for now. It does not say, but we are definitely going to figure out how to do it later.
Yeah, but even the way that they did it's so lawyer talky. I mean, if we could deliver that same experience without compromise, which for launch means Odyssey will not be VR compatible. They're very careful in their wording. It's I don't know.
Well,
and it's lawyer talk. It can swing either way.
It is, but just something to kind of think about. Go back and look at the announcements of when they push back fleet carriers, and let's go back and look at the announcements of ice planets and what happened with that. And let's go back and look at the announcement of the couple of mega ships that they were going to add and didn't. Let's go back and look at the announcement. I mean, there's a number of things that they've announced, said this will be, we're working on this for the future. It won't be ready at launch, but we're going to work on it. We're going to add it in. Let's not forget that there's a couple of ships that they've mentioned and promised that we still have not heard anything about. Them saying we're going to work on it in the future, that's a very vague phrase. If they say, hey, we're aiming to have this done, the game's going to be out in the spring, we're aiming to have this done by the summer, at the latest the fall, okay, I'm in. I'll give you the time. But if they say, well, just for the future, that's a very vague statement. I'll wait for a Steam sale. I'll wait until the expansion is $15 or something. And I'm sorry, I love this game. I do. I made a podcast about this game, and I really do love this game. And it's really going to rub me the wrong way if I can't play in VR and the new stuff. I don't necessarily want to run around in first-person view in VR. I think that would really bother me. I'm okay not having that, but to not be able to land on atmospheric planets in VR, that's a huge miss. That's a big miss. That's a big down problem, if you ask me. And I feel like they're alienating a large portion of their player base.
I don't buy it even if it's a Steam sale for $1 unless it's on the calendar.
Yeah, I'm
for me. So
yeah, it's going to be a hard purchase either way for me, because without a doubt, people who don't buy Odyssey will be able to play with people who just have Horizons. So me and Trax will still be in space VR, and when I don't know, it's really going to bother. And even if it's not how they're going to handle non-atmospheric worlds, like let's say people are running around non-atmospheric planet, running around, and then me and Trax decide to strafe them. I mean, how's that going to work? I mean, I don't know how they I don't know how they limit that. I don't know. I mean, maybe they don't. Maybe it's just like, well, watch out for the giant pancake vet. I don't know.
You probably won't instance with somebody.
Probably not.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And the other thing I kind of want to bring up here real quick is, and we don't know this, but there has been zero talk about ship interiors. And correct me if I'm wrong, but during their live stream today, they specifically didn't answer any questions about ship interiors, right?
They said they're not talking about it right now.
Right. So that's worrisome to me, because if you go back and listen to my previous episodes, I've talked about half measure, full measure, and why it would bother me. And what I mean by half measure and full measure, fighter bays are a great example of something that was implemented half measure. You can deploy it, you teleport down there to it, but it's not something you really interact with. You have a pilot that you don't really interact with. You don't see them in your ship, and they just kind of magically run the fighter remotely. And there's some lore reasons why that happens. Multi-crew and multiplayer is another thing that is another great example of half measure. And
I hear your point here. I think that language on the stream, we're not talking about that today. They have said the language before, that is not currently planned, or something to that effect. Like there are currently no plans for this feature.
right.
That's language they've used before, and that's the language they would use if that wasn't planned as part of it. We're not talking about that today. Means it's not part of this teaser announcement. I think that's a pretty sure thing.
That's a good point. It really is.
I actually feel pretty good about that one.
Yeah. I mean, there's a very good point that it's just something that might be something they have planned to show off in 2 or 3 live streams or something. And
Yeah, that would drive me nuts more than anything, is if I can move around my ship, but not in VR. That is like more disappointing than not, being able to do it on a planet. I want that you get the depth on flat screen. You can head look around and stuff. You have no idea what the depth of that ship is until you're in a VR headset. Mm-hmm. So if you're all of a sudden, doom walking down the hallways of your Anaconda, it's gonna be like, hey, this hallway seems long. You just don't have that scale. It just that would be even more disappointing for me if VR is not available, but I can move around my ship. That's just I don't like it.
Yeah.
Yep.
This no VR thing is a huge miss, and I'm concerned about the half measure thing. Like I was saying, I'm concerned about that. It doesn't mean that it's not it. I completely agree with you. It just, to me, means it's a concern. Man, it really worries me when, the way this thing was released, we're all kind of in agreement that this thing was released when they planned it. Like the supposed leak was someone just didn't check a box at the right point, right?
Yeah, that video was uploaded that day on purpose. It just got the wrong box. It's set to private instead of scheduled.
Right.
I think that they were trying to release, the Steam store pop out at the same time the YouTube thing came out. I think the YouTube thing came out before the Steam store, and then it was like, oh no, what are we going to do? And then they got everything back in sync later in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. It got posted as unlisted instead of scheduled for release.
Yep. Yeah. There's literally a little checkbox that you have to check when you're doing a video on YouTube, and it strikes me as someone just forgot to check that box. So
yeah.
But that being said, I still think that I really don't want to find out that ship interiors is what worries me is, like, I'm gonna land my vet, I'm gonna get up, and I'm gonna teleport outside. That's going to be, I don't want to say game breaking, but that's going to be immersion breaking. That's really going to bother me. That's going to feel very instanced. It's not going to feel good. And it's going to really, God, I just don't want that.
Well, this is how
I can
feel
get over
about
it
this
if I
game.
can play it.
Yeah, this is how I feel. This game, initially you guys talked about, VR got you into this. VR is kind of what first attracted me to this game. Well, what made me first hear about this game? I was looking for badass games on VR because I got my VR headset. And then I saw an ad about this game, and I'm like, 400 billion systems, 1-to-1 representation of the Milky Way galaxy. I'm like, what the holy hell is this? How can that even be? You know, my brain couldn't wrap my head around, you know, that many star systems in a game. You know, what computer can hold all that? Then procedurally generated, blah, blah, blah. But still, we're talking 400 billion systems. It's an immense game. And I love this game. And, you know, then you have to have stuff to fill that galaxy. And it's so big that it's got to be, they can't just have the galaxy full all at once. It's going to take time to slowly fill that. I mean, there's over 50,000, you know, starports right now. That's how many places, you know, Hutton Mugs got delivered to, which blew my mind. And then you've got, you know, planets we can land on now, and then you got Guardian sites, and you got Thargoids flying around, and you know, everything that they've added over time is slowly adding more to this game. And you talk about half measures, and yes, it's unfortunate when you have half measures. You'd rather have full measures, but I'd rather have something added than nothing. There's so much that they can do with this game that, you know, anything they add to this game, to me, will always be awesome because it adds something else to this game. But it will always also not be enough because there's so much more they could do. And how much you can develop when you're trying to fill an entire galaxy, my hat's off to them. They're doing the best they can, and hopefully they keep plugging forward. But I don't think they should ever take away something that was already in the game, and that's what they're doing with VR. They're taking away something that was already in the, you know, fabric of the game. You know, that's my take on the whole thing.
I think that's really, really well put, and it is a subtraction by addition, in the way that when I'm thinking back to like what we've heard, you know, the interview that Kai did with Bruce. He talked a lot about community management and the way that addition can feel like subtraction if you do it in just the wrong way. And unfortunately, I have felt today like this one is uncontrollably coming out that way despite their best efforts, because for, I guess, not everyone, you know, so VR is like a kind of fraction of the gaming population, a growing one. I mean, after Half-Life Alyx, the Steam's hardware surveys show a wild uptick in VR headsets, and that tick has not gone down. People are not unplugging them after buying them. Okay, so it's not just this game. It's here to stay. But it's still a small portion of the gaming population. But I believe, and I don't have data for this, but I feel pretty confident in saying that it is definitely a larger portion of the gaming population of this game than the gaming population as a whole, because Elite Dangerous is a selling point for VR headsets. It is still listed as, you know, how many years later, as one of the best games on VR out there. So it's a big deal, and it's a little unfortunate because I think you're right. So all I have is hope, and I'm trying to stick to the hope.
Well, and you know, if they give us a roadmap, I'm just let us know when you guys are planning to release it at Frontier. I mean, yes, you don't have to give us a date, but just say, hey, we're working on to have this done inside of 6 months, inside of 9 months, inside of a year. Is it a situation where it's like, well, we're not gonna be able to work this out by then? I mean, I would challenge you to go look at No Man's Sky. I would challenge you to go look at, I hate to say it, Star Citizen. I would challenge you to go look at Project Cars. There's a shit ton of games out there that have VR where you can walk around.
Two other things. Go tell us kind of what the technical issue is, or, you know, is it because, you know, it looks funny or something? You know, give us some reason why. Or B, at launch, have VR in beta, so you can play it in VR, but expect bugs. But you can still do it, but don't expect it to be polished. You know, we're going to let you do it. Here it is. But you're probably going to have some crashes here and there. Some shit's going to look weird, but you can still do it.
Yeah, maybe the controls are totally bonkers, because I'm imagining that's one of the hard things to work out. But is it really any harder, any easier for the flat screen players? Because everybody's going to have to pick up something other than a HOTAS, right?
Well, and I'm actually curious about this. So you got to think about like the console players. The console players have the easiest because the console controls for FPS are pretty much well established. They've been that way for several years. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Hey,
The newest Call of Duty just plays just like Halo CE did.
so there you go. So the there might be a little button move here or there on an occasional game, but the FPS controls are well established. So the console jockeys are going to have the easiest time with going back and forth in between Flight to Xbox controller. I actually plugged in my Xbox controller and had a whole control scheme and forced myself to play on just an Xbox controller for about a month, and I fucking hated it. So I don't know how the hell y'all do it.
See, I think I had thought about that for a long time when they were talking about Elite Feet and you had the leak, and I'm like, how the fuck is that going to work on my HOTAS? Am I going to be reaching forward to my keyboard? And I was like, I'd have no problem reaching for my keyboard. But also, the more I thought about it and the better I've gotten with the little thumb joysticks on my HOTAS, I'm pretty sure I could have mapped and I could do an FPS pretty easily using the thumbsticks on my HOTAS without any problems.
Yeah.
If it was like FPS, I would easily just sort of like switch. I would reach forward and grab my mouse, right, and keyboard. But I actually think, well, I mean, I'm still saying I'm not going to play it if it's not in VR. And VR, we have our controllers for that, and they work perfectly well for an FPS situation. I'm pointing, I'm using the sticks to run and move, and it's settled. I think you're going to have a controller nearby or something if HOTAS is your only thing and you're playing in pancake mode. I actually have like a random USB like Logitech gamepad thing that I'm sure would work perfectly fine. It's like a generic thing that I've used back in the day to play like platformers on a computer. Works perfectly well. I'm sure that would be fine. But I know I'll be using my Rift controllers if I play it.
Well, unless they've done something to adjust that, to my knowledge, the Rift controllers still don't show up as a controller in the Elite Dangerous game.
No, sure. Actually, I heard somebody say that they got it working for some reason, but
there's how did it work now? There's a third-party add-on you have to install to get it working. Now, this is what I played with about a year ago with the original Oculus, so it's entirely possible they have done an update and fixed it. I haven't tried it since.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
A perfect world for me would be grabbing my Rift controllers and standing up in my room when I went to Space Legs. You know, I'd love to be room scale for that because that's how I like
kick the chair back and stand up. Yep.
Exactly. You know, I've been playing Half-Life Alyx. Freaking love that game. You know, I've played some Pavlov. I've played, Arizona Sunshine. You know, I've played a lot of these, room scale games where you get to shoot stuff, and it's funner than hell. But I got those games for that though. So once again, I don't know. I will have to wait and see. I like flying my spaceship. God damn it.
Yeah.
Well, ultimately, I bought this game for a space flight sim, and I've said it multiple times that I have a very special moment that is dear to my heart when I saw Earth for the first time in VR. And for them I know they're not taking it away. I get that. But for them to be in a situation where being able to fly through the clouds, and we don't know if you're going to be able to do this or not, but let's fast forward a little bit and say you can't fly through the clouds and land on the planet, but you can still play Horizons in VR. Man, that feels like a punch in the face is what it feels like. And it really bothers me. And I'm excited for what they're doing. I really am, but I really hope they give us an idea of what the plan to get VR rolling on it is. So
I think you're getting more upset by the hour because earlier you said it felt like a slap in the face. Now it's a punch in the face. So you're getting more angry.
It's a punch in the nuts now.
Oh man. Yeah.
It's a cane to the pants.
Anyway, but there's I'm excited about this from the point of view of I want to leave on a good note. So one of the things they talked about was the social hubs, which we don't really know what those are yet. I'm kind of hoping that they are places where, like a bar or something, where you can meet up and pick up missions, or maybe you could follow somebody to the hangar or stuff like that. Those are things I'm interested in. Like I'd be all on board doing those kind of things. Again, I don't necessarily want the Star Citizen experience, because I played that and I haven't checked in on the game in a while now. But the last time I checked in, I did a 30-minute chat about it in here. It was still awful, still broke as shit. I want them to fix it. But they've made steps and has potential. So I'm hoping that we don't end up with these social areas to where they end up to where it feels like it's what's the right word? It's
half measure.
I don't want to say half. I've used that a lot, but yeah, I mean that's a good way to put it. I don't want it to feel like it's half baked, half measured. I want it to feel whole. I want it to feel right.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't come up like
course.
a VR chat room kind of thing. That's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
But VR chat is the future, you guys.
Oh God.
My nephew talks about VR chat all the time. He don't even have VR. Apparently, you can VR chat and don't even need VR. By the way, which drives me a little crazy. But
you just changed my life. I'm going to go throw myself in the trash can now.
Well, that escalated quickly.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Hey, I'm with you. Let's go. my nephew, he talks about that damn VR chat all the time. And he talks about old school Half-Life mods all the time. And then he can't figure out why his computer that I just built him recently runs like crap, because he has all these freaking add-ons. And he has a 1080 Ti that's water cooled. So, whatever. Anyway, I'm salty about that. But anyway, that's the long and short of what we know about Odyssey. I'm excited. Things look good, but there's a few things that did kind of break my heart, and I'm hoping that we just haven't seen the end of it. So, and the last thing I don't want this to turn into some sort of PvP arena thing. That's I don't want to say, that's, what's the right term? The damn games where it's like PUBG,
Fortnite.
where you, I don't,
Battle Royale.
I have Battle Royale. Thank you. I have more respect for Frontier than to say I don't want it to be Fortnite, because I think they're going to do better than that. But I don't want a Battle Royale mode in my spaceflight sim. I really don't. Well, maybe that might be. Oh, I just thought of a greater community thing.
Well, this game already has a battle royale mode. It's 8-player deathmatch in CQC.
Correct.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all I had. That's all I got to say about Odyssey for the time being. Do y'all have anything else y'all want to add?
About
I
this mess?
think we covered just about everything.
Yeah. Is there anything else y'all want to add on the show in general?
Do you want to talk about some of the event stuff, or do we want to do more planning before we talk about that stuff? Do you want to say kind of like what our general theme is, or anything like that?
I think we should probably talk about it internally first, and then maybe we get a few a little bit more solid ideas. Then maybe we could put it on the Discord and let people kind of maybe vote on some of our ideas, and then go from there. So,
and maybe find out, anybody who's listening, maybe in Chick Chat, let's also add what nights and times work good for events for some of you? If we get anything weekly going and stuff, is there any nights that work better than other nights? You know, we'd like to get as many people as possible. And I know things change, but some people are like, I play every Wednesday night from 5 p.m. till 6:15. Can we do it then? And let me know.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the kind of thing. So we don't have things totally ironed out, but maybe we'll make a channel in the Discord about this. I know I'd commandeered the events channel and turned it into Distant Screws, so we can make a new events channel or something for these kind of. We're thinking of a lot of smaller things is what my current best ideas seem to be, and we'll talk about it there. So look for that in our Discord and contribute what times you like to do things, and let's work out things so we can get as many people as possible doing them.
Yeah. On that too, I want to. We're going to be adding a. I'm trying to see if you've already done it, Trex, and if you haven't, I missed it. Just correct me. But I want to be adding an exploration channel.
I did not do that yet.
Okay. But I want to add an exploration channel. But what kind of events do you guys want to see? It's a couple. We'll just talk real quick about a couple ideas we had, and I think this is mainly tracks. We talked about doing a CQC night, kind of a beginner's night, which would have kind of rotating topics. A flat out PvP night. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I specifically about the beginner's night, I don't mean like only beginners turn up, but I mean specifically with the aim for we're going to help people with things that they have questions about or want to learn more about, from how do I get better at combat? How do I build a better ship? You know, stuff like that. How do I mine effectively? That'll turn into wing mining. You know what I mean? Like just random. Well, not random. I mean, we'll plan them based on what people want, but that's the sort of stuff I was thinking of.
Yeah. And actually, like another idea I had was like a group mining night where we all get together and go mining, but we also fire up Netflix or Hulu or something, and we all figure out a movie that we're going to watch. Like it's got to be some crappy ass old sci-fi
Last
movie.
Jedi. I'm out.
You shut your mouth.
Anyway, it's got to be some crappy ass old. I said old, by the way. It's Jig. Sci-fi movie
It's a
that
few years
we can all.
old.
I hate you, Ty. No, that's a great idea. Like that we could be doing a whole Mystery Science Theater kind of thing while mining.
Yeah.
Got it.
But yeah, that was the that was one of my ideas. We all have to add that to the list. But anyway, these are ideas that we have working on. We don't really have a big one, and the reason why we don't have big ones right now is because there's other things going on in the galaxy with our squadron, our faction, and the Dark Will faction idea of. And we also have fleet carriers coming out and stuff like that. So, yeah.
So much to do.
Yep.
So
There's
little
things
time.
to do. Yep. Anyway, Chris
Okay.
Clark, 11.
Let me just go one more thing, though. I want to go. Yeah, you mentioned movies. There's a huge movie anniversary coming up on June 7th. I want to
is?
bring up The Goonies.
Oh, shit.
35 years on June 7th. So in 3 days, The Goonies is 35 years old. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Oh, my God. This episode is going to be called Baby Ruth.
Truffle Shuffle.
Oh, shit. Truffle Shuffle. That's it. Oh, damn. I'm torn now. Anyway.
Hey, you guys. That's a great movie. Trax is probably too young to even know what that is. God.
I know what that is. How young do you think I am?
Thought you were like 17 or something.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm 17. I have a almost 5-year-old daughter. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, you blossomed young.
Jeez.
I'm landing this thing before it gets too crazy.
All right, go ahead. You were on this. You were talking about something else.
Chris Clark, I will be around most of the day tomorrow. If you could message me, because I have something special planned for your story. just message me and we will get together and work it out. I know you're mostly on during that time, so just holler at me. We will work it out, sir, and we'll go from there. You can always reach us at loosescrewsed.com. I think that has links to all of our stuff. Speaking of which, if you guys see anything on the website that I need to update, there's probably a lot of stuff that I need to update. Put it into the show feedback. I've been very lax on keeping up with the updates on the thing. I'm dedicating my Sunday to getting the website caught up and fixed on the things I need to fix. So that's my Sunday. But yeah, there's that. What else? Hate, do you have anything, any orders you need to pass out for our faction, or have you already done that?
In the Bumber system, we need to end the war between the Bumber Cooperative and some other faction, and we want the Bumber Cooperative to win because the other faction is non-native.
Okay.
Do you want us to run expansion related missions in Moriport?
I'm not sure if that war is going to affect our expansion, so we can go ahead and wait on that for right now.
Okay, well, I've run 4 of them since we've been doing the show.
That's okay.
I'm not going to try to do combat while we're actually on the podcast.
I don't blame you.
Trax, anything else you want to? Any final words, man?
Nope. Stay loose. Stay screwy. That's all.
Chig, today is, what was it? National Cheese Day.
Correct.
What's the national cheese?
Yeah. What's the? Yeah.
Well,
American.
Hold on. The national cheese is American cheese because this is America. And yeah, we ain't perfect, but we're the best damn country in the world.
Now,
So
that was one of the cheeses that was up for consideration today. And then I decided I did not want to offend the cheese gods by picking out an individual cheese for National Cheese Day. So all I want you guys to do is eat some goddamn cheese because it's so good. Stay cheesy, everybody.
It's a message of inclusion.
Indeed. World needs more of that.
I'm disappointed in you, Chig. I expected better cheese.
All cheese is good,
man. He just voted for all cheese. And unless you've got lactose issues, I think you're on board.
I'll tell you, there were 3 cheeses up for what I wanted to go today because I'm like, National Cheese Days, it's got to be one of the most popular cheeses. And I'm like, well, it's a National Cheese Day. I mean, it's American, obviously, cheese day. So I'm like, American cheese makes sense. Thought about that, but I went with the canned cheese last week. So another kind of processed cheese, decided not to go that route. And I considered going one of the other 2 big ones, either cheddar or Swiss. But then I'm like, fuck it. We're just going all cheeses, and that's it because cheese is life.
Cheese is life. All right.
Mic drop.
All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We will see y'all next time for more cheese chat. And night, y'all.